Well, hey guys, I'm Abby Johnson, and today we're reflecting on Exodus chapters 15 through 18. And so, as we get started today, I'm wondering, are there any weird or bad smells out there that you actually enjoy? For example, some people really like the smell of really bad cheese. Like the stinkier it is, the better it tastes. Or this one is weird, but my cat Lulu, who is like the most diva of all the felines, she loves the smell of rotten shoes. Like as soon as I get home from the gym, she can't wait until I take those nasty suckers off so she can dip her head inside. It's weird, I know, but she loves it. Okay, now let me tell you about the worst odor I've ever encountered. It was one I accidentally created. You see, I've been on this smoothie kick for quite some time now. I love a good protein smoothie in the morning with a banana and protein powder and spinach and, the whole works. But this past June, my husband and I went on vacation for a week, and I'd left my car parked in the garage the entire time we were gone. And wouldn't you know it, when we got back, it smelled as if something had died in our garage. I opened my car door only to realize that I had forgotten a smoothie in there before we left, and it reeked. I can't even begin to describe the stench that wafted into my nostrils and decided it never wanted to leave. Now, the smell I can so vividly remember doesn't even come close to the smell we're going to be talking about today in Exodus chapter 16. And read it with me. Exodus 16 verses 2 through 8. It says, "The entire Israelite community grumbled against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. The Israelites said to them, 'If only we had died by the Lord's hand in the land of Egypt, when we sat by pots of meat and ate all the bread we wanted. Instead, you brought us into this wilderness to make this whole assembly die of hunger.' Then the Lord said to Moses, 'I am going to rain bread from heaven for you. The people are going to go out each day and gather enough for that day. This way I will test them to see whether or not they will follow my instructions. On the sixth day, when they prepare what they bring in, it will be twice as much as they gather on the other days.' So Moses and Aaron said to all the Israelites, 'This evening you will know that it was the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt, and in the morning you will see the Lord's glory, because he has heard your complaints about him. For who are we that you complain about us?' Moses continued. 'The Lord will give you meat to eat this evening and all the bread you want in the morning, for he has heard the complaints that you are raising against him.' Who are we? Your complaints are not against us, but against the Lord." So here's the context of what's happening here. We encounter the Israelites just barely out of the grasp and tyranny of Egypt, experiencing freedom for the first time in their entire lifetime. And not even a full 2 months has passed since they've experienced God's miraculous salvation from Egypt, and already they're grumbling and complaining against Moses for leading them into the wilderness to die of starvation. Here, Moses and Aaron remind the people that they're not just grumbling and complaining against them, but the Lord, Yahweh, their God. And God heard their literal belly aching and moaning, and even in the midst of these complaints, he promises the Israelites that they will see his glory at dawn. Then in verses 11 through 16, God promises them meat at twilight and bread at dawn. And of course, we know that they awoke to find a bread that they had never seen before, literally called "What is it?" with the promise that this will be their provision day after day until they've had their fill. They need only to gather enough for that day, and God will bring new bread, fresh bread for them every single day. But what happens? In Exodus 16:19, God gives the command through Moses. No one is to let any of it remain until morning. They can have all the fresh bread they want, but they can't save any of the leftovers. They're not allowed to leave any of it until morning, because God is going to provide a fresh batch for them for that day. Exodus 16:20. But they didn't listen to Moses. Some left part of it until morning, and it bred worms and stank. Therefore Moses was angry with them. It bred worms and stank. And these worms are literally maggots. The bread became a breeding ground for these nasty things with an odor so foul, my rotten smoothie scent becomes a little more palatable. And now you think that this whole thing would be simple. God provides bread in the morning. Eat the bread. Throw old bread away. Get new bread in the morning. I mean, how hard is this, right? It's not overly difficult to figure out here, Israelites. But that's not what the Israelites do. I don't know if they were just plain old stingy, or maybe there was a deep-seated fear lurking below that God wouldn't actually come through for them. But in either case, some of them did just the opposite. They kept the bread instead of disposing of it as God commanded. What could be the harm in letting some old, crusty bread lay around for a few extra hours? I mean, it's just stale bread. However, this seemingly innocuous action blatantly disregarded God's command for the what is it. God specifically said to get rid of it so that he could give them something better, something fresh from him. And when they failed to obey, the bread sprouted little worms with a stench so great and so potent throughout the whole camp that it actually offended and angered Moses. Not because of the smell, but because of what the smell represented to God. A people filled with disbelief, greed, self-interest, and self-preservation. And as we reflect upon this passage and learn from their mistakes to apply their lessons to our lives, how can we grow from this text? Some questions I'm asking God today. God, where am I not trusting in your provision for my life? Just like you provided for the Israelites, and they still didn't believe you'd come through for them like you said you would. Do I trust you? Are there any commands of yours that I deem inconsequential or that I don't perceive as applicable to me? What other blind spots do I not see that you would like to reveal? Well, thanks so much for spending time with me, everybody. I look forward to seeing you next time.